The Power Factor Show with Rick, Steve, and Caleb. Episode 73.
You can find this podcast and others at Gun Rights Radio Network, gunrightsradio.com. Podcasting freedom.
Brought to you by Safariland and Hodgdon, the gunpowder people.
Okay, so welcome back to Power Factor again. Today we're at the Renton Fishing Game Club, and I'm joined by John Larson and Jay Burleson, and today we're going to talk about the game of Skeet. And Skeet is probably, John, and my favorite game in terms of shooting.
Mine too.
Yeah, I mean, after you shoot trap for a while, and trap is a good place to go and work on fundamentals and everything, but after a while, a lot of people say that trap is extremely boring. And I will say,
get comments on that.
And Skeet's not.
And Skeet
There's
is
so many ways to miss that aren't available in the other games.
Yes, yeah. And Skeet is where you start seeing the leads and everything like that you don't normally see in trap, so it can be a lot more challenging.
Or you don't see them and you miss behind.
That's true, yeah. Or you do see them and you miss anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. So Jay, why don't you go and talk about the game of Skeet here a little bit, explain the fundamentals.
Okay, anything on trap basically means that the machine is in front of you and the target is going to be thrown more or less away from you. Skeet differs from that in that the machines are on the corner of the field. You've got one on the left side and one on the right side. The tower on the left side is called the high house because the trap machine is up about 12 feet high. The tower on the left side is called the low house because the trap machine is actually down at almost at ground level. And you move in a very large half circle, so you're changing radically your angles to the target compared to trap where the machine is moving side to side a little bit and you're moving in a small area relative to that. So here, like I said, you'll get some that are almost going away over your head or coming at you almost to almost at a 9-degree angle to you. So your angles and your lead of the shotgun to the target will change radically from position to position out of the 8 positions there. Back in the beginning of Skeet, as we touched on in the other episode, the guy that invented it first set it up to do in a full circle, which I think would be absolutely cool to try. But it's kind of hard to find a range.
Around here?
Yeah, kind of hard to find a range where you can shoot in 360-degree directions without landing on something. So the modern game has gone to 8 positions, 7 of them in the half circle, and then the 8th one in the middle.
That's how I learned it.
I couldn't remember if that was actually 7, 8 there, or
it's like
6 there.
No, 7's over there.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we are at Station 1. For the game of Skeet, pretty much everybody's using probably Skeet choke tubes. Skeet and Skeet for the people who are using over-under guns, usually a Skeet and Skeet tube. For people who are using autoloaders, you're probably putting in either a cylinder or Skeet or whatever. Typically here in Skeet shooting, is you're going to get one target that's kind of close to you, and the other one's a little bit further away, so you can kind of choke your gun possibly if you're trying to possibly choke tighter for one and loose for the other. I run, in my case here, a cylinder and a Skeet tube, only because I don't have 2 Skeet tubes. In terms of the shot shells that we're using, John and I are each reloading our own shells using number 9 shot, primarily from the standpoint of 9 is the smallest pellet. You don't need a whole lot of energy here downrange to break these things, so what we're trying to do is basically get the shot cloud density up in terms of the number of pellets that are flying out there. And you and I have pretty much settled on 7/8 ounce loads. We're shooting 7/8 for trap,
for just about everything.
7/8 for Continental, 7/8 for Skeet. The only difference is that for Continental, you've kind of upped the velocity on yours.
For Continental and trap, I'm shooting 8s, and they're somewhere north of 1350, as we found out today.
Yeah.
And I like them a lot.
Yeah, they do shoot well. But pretty much my load is standard around 1,220 or so feet per second, give or take here, and 7/8 of an ounce. So Station 1 here.
My Skeet load is going like 1250, so it's just a little bit faster than yours.
Right. So Station 1, you'll have a high house target thrown single, a low house target thrown single, and then you do doubles, which would be a high house and a low house simultaneous. So we'll go through here and see how we can do on that. Pull. Pull.
Gee, maybe that didn't fly
Hey,
by.
those are the two
so you can
singles, a
claim it
high
as
and a low.
kill.
Now we do our doubles. Pull.
Got them both. So now
sometimes
since
that happens where you hit both targets at the same time.
so per the rules of the game, you just established the high house as being dead.
Right.
And now you have to shoot another pair.
Right.
But
So
you can miss the high house, but
Right.
you better nail the low house.
Exactly. So you can kind of give away your high house, but make sure you hit the low.
But most people won't do that.
Exactly.
They'll just call for a low house target and shoot it.
Pull.
So you're good.
Pull.
But you can only go to 24.
Yeah.
Pull. Pull. Stopped.
The light in here is really tough.
I stopped it.
Even with the yellow, it's still...
I was just waiting for it. It was sitting there. This is going to be so pretty. Pull.
Okay, one of the things you got to think about when you're shooting skeet, like I said, when you get the pairs, you got to have 2 shells in the gun. When you're shooting the singles, you don't have to load both shells in the gun for the singles. So if you're a semi-auto or a pump shotgunner, you can just single load for the high, load another one, call for the low, and shoot it there. A lot of people like to do that even with the over and unders.
Oh, yeah.
That just reinforces that anytime they're shooting a single, they're only putting 1 shell in the gun, and they know once they've done it, the gun's open and empty at that point.
I think one of the other problems I've heard in skeet is that people who do load 2 will rush the second shot. They fire the first one, and then rather than getting their head set and figure out what they want to do for the second one, they call the second one really quick. And I think the whole entire thing of loading the gun, going through that motion, gives them the time for their mind to figure out what they're going to do.
Exactly. And skeet, again, like a little bit on trap, the foot position and the hold points. The hold points seem to be much more universal from person to person because the target on skeet never changes where it comes from or where it goes to. So pretty much everybody's hold point is very, very similar. Foot position is way different than trap, and also what people do is way different. Some people like to have their feet in a position where they're viewing the target. Some people like to have their feet in the position where they know they're going to be pulling the trigger on the target and wind themselves up or whatever to watch the target. So it's not quite as easy just to tell you, stand like this on skeet as it is trap. You really have to come out and experiment yourself and watch other people do it and get a feel for the target.
So in skeet, each of the houses, are going to throw the same target for the whole game. And each of those targets is going to go over the center stake. In this case, there's a white pipe out there, and there's a hoop that is used to set the targets. So what do you know? That it's going to be over there. And talking about foot position, that's where I was going, is foot position. When I first shot, the people we were shooting with, because I still don't know how to shoot this game, but knew even less then, would have you facing the stake for everything, because everything has to go over the stake, and try to kill it a little bit before the stake or over the stake. And like all things in shooting, and everybody's an individual, it's like, then I've tried facing the window of the low house at just about every position around here. And where I find it works better for me is not either one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Is something different, something
Right.
in between where it's easy for me to swing the gun.
Right. And you get to find your own natural spot there.
Yeah.
I mean, there are certain recommendations, but it's not a hard, fast rule in terms of how you have to do it. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
Even though when you show up, no, you're doing it all wrong. You should do this. You should
Yeah.
do that. No,
Yeah.
you shouldn't.
There is a very, very good book available from the National Rifle Association store called The Skeeter's Guide. It's actually a yellow cover with a giant mosquito on it. But it's a very short book, very concise instructions. We'll have a link to it on the video. It's only $5, I think. So it's very inexpensive. And it basically, in 2 pages, it lays out each station, recommended hold points, recommended lead, recommended foot position, and it's very easy to carry around with you, so you can actually kind of be out here and look at the book and look at what other people are shooting, and get a big jump on your education for skeet.
I would probably say in terms also of getting a big jump in education, something that John and I had been watching here recently is that a guy by the name of Todd Bender, who's a
multi-time.
Champion shooter, has a really great DVD out called, I think, like Winning Fundamentals in Skeet or something to that effect. And Todd goes through every single station, going through talking about the various leads, the various hold point, the look point, everything. So I'd really highly recommend that DVD if you're interested in skeet shooting, because in terms of John and myself, at least myself, I really feel like it's helped a lot, and just in terms of what you should be seeing and what you should be looking for. He also goes and has slow motion video from an eye camera, so you can actually see very slowly what he's seeing in terms of what he's seeing.
Right over the top of his gun.
Yeah.
Which is really good.
Paul!
Oh, wow. Oh, that light's good.
Paul!
Back edge, Steve. Back edge.
Yeah, when you're looking at the black underside.
Yeah. Well, it's better than the orange.
This light is really vicious.
Yeah, it is.
Paul!
I didn't see it until I really started looking over here.
Yeah, I couldn't see it at all.
Pull. Behind it. Oh, go it. Yeah, over the fence. Pull. Pull.
Pull. Pull.
Nice. Yeah, up against the trees up there, the black underside, it just goes away.
Hold it.
Nice.
One of the things that you might have noticed, Station 1 and Station 2, you got a high house, a low house, and a pair. The next 3 stations, you just get a high house and a low house. Only 2 targets.
Okay, so now we're here at Station 3. Station 3 starts getting into the middle of a skeet field. This is where you start seeing the big leads. So the leads you're starting to get in this spot here is like your 3 to 4 foot leads, which can be really intimidating. The problem is that people start getting to these positions here and start measuring the relationship of the barrel of the bird. That's the last thing you want to do. You want to have 100% of your focus on the bird, but you still need to kind of be aware of where the gun is relative to it. And probably these are the most challenging spots here for most people shooting skeet. So give us a shot here. Again, it's just a high house and a low house, or singles from each. Paul! Paul!
At least they're not going in and out of the sun.
Pull. Behind it. Pull.
Pull. Pull.
Well, at least you guys are consistent.
Up and down.
Okay, so here we are at Station 4, middle of the skeet field here. Again, you're probably seeing the biggest leads, probably about 3.5 to 4 feet on these birds here.
Just kill it, Steve.
Paul! Yeah. Paul!
It's climbing again.
Yeah.
Pull. Pull. I'll take it.
Yep. So in terms of skeet, we talked about lead, and there are really 4 different techniques for acquiring a lead in any type of shooting. You have swing through, which is basically where the gun starts from behind the bird, moves through the bird, acquires the lead in front of the bird and you break the shot. Typically swing through is how a lot of hunters end up shooting, because the thing is, you don't know where the birds are actually coming from. They're usually surprised. They're typically always going to beat you. So a lot of hunters will usually start with a swing through method. The next method is basically a pull away method, where you mount the gun or wait till the bird comes to the gun. You basically maintain the same speed as the bird and then pull away from the bird at the last moment and then break the shot at that spot. The next method is probably what's called a move, mount, and shoot technique, or sometimes called the Churchill technique. Again, pretty much used by hunters. The idea is, probably starting from a low mount position, is that you mount the gun into the bird, into the lead of the bird, the necessary lead, and break the shot immediately as it hits as a gun stock hits your cheek. So there's no tracking, or I should say matching speed of gun to bird. That part is really being done during and through the mount. As soon as you get the gun up onto the bird, you break the shot. The last method that pretty much everybody uses here in terms of skeet is what's called a sustained lead or maintained lead. The idea there is that you start the gun moving and you maintain a lead or a gap in front of the bird all the way as you're matching speed, and then break the shot. The idea that sustained lead works so well here is because of the fact that we know where the bird's coming from, and we know the speed that it's going, and we know the distance that it is, we know the lead that we need to have at a given spot. It's really just a matter of executing the shot. So as soon as we call pull, we start the gun moving, keep the gun in front of the bird until you get get the lead that's necessary, and then break the shot at that spot. You don't want to ride it too long, because if you start riding it, that gives your mind time to go and start measuring the barrel and bird relationship. You don't want to do that. So we're here now at station 5. Got a high and a low. Again, this is another one of the singles. This is the last of the single targets. When we get to station 6, we go back to 2 singles and a double again. Pull. Pull.
Pull. Pull.
Okay, so now we're at station 6 here. Again, these are kind of the inner positions, with 3, 4, and 5 being kind of the middle positions. With station 6, everything we've been shooting up until this point in terms of high house, low house. Again, you're going to get a high house and a low house, but then you have your double. You always want to shoot basically the going away target first. So now the going away target is going to be the low house going away and then the high house. So what you're going to see here, rather than going on the doubles, is the high house, low house. Now we're going to switch it and go low house, high house.
But not on the singles.
Pull. Pull. Okay, so now you'll see the switch here. We're going to hit the low house first, the double, and then the high house. Pull.
I'll be louder. Pull. Pull. How was that? Pull.
Nice. So here we are on station 7. We have a high house and a low house, and then again a pair. And one thing I'll really recommend here, and I'll be admitting I'm guilty of it, is I'm not wearing a hat. It's really kind of important to wear a hat, or at least consider a skeet field, because the thing is that you have, especially here now at station 7, and what you're going to see here at station 8, is that target fragments, as you break them, will come at you. And those things hurt when you get hit by them. So in order to protect your face, it's a good idea to wear a hat with a brim on it.
Yeah, you can see all the marks on the wall.
Yeah.
That's from targets hitting it.
Okay, so we do the high house first, then the low house. Pull. Pull.
Nice hit.
Okay, so this is where we shoot our pair. Again, the going away target first. So in this case here, it's the low house. So I hit the low house and then the high house. Pull.
Good visual pickup. Oh! Oh! It's kind of nice though, against the sky you see the dark target.
Yeah. Except looking at that sun,
Yeah.
it blinds you.
Oh!
Nice.
Take that.
That one turned to smoke.
It's the
Yeah, it was.
idea. Otherwise,
So
you would
typically
have
the
used
round of the rules in Skeet is that if you have a miss on any given station, you then do your makeup shot at that station, which if you go through the number of rounds that are fired in a Skeet field, it typically would be 24. Assuming you shot a perfect round of Skeet, you'll have basically, you now have 3 shells remaining, and you'll have a high house and a low house, and then you shoot basically your 25th round, which is either going to be, I think, in your low house or your high house again. Either one, either choice, shooter's choice. So at this point here, I have basically not been following the rules of Skeets because I had a couple misses here, but I also had that incident back on stage 1 where I actually had to do a reshoot because I hit the 2 targets with 1 round. So station 8 here is sometimes referred to as a trick shot because there literally is no lead. Nothing here follows any of the similar positions that we've been shooting. It's really see the bird, put the gun there, and shoot. And you got to be really fast in all this because I'm halfway basically now to the high house here from the low house. That bird comes out fast, it's right on you, so you really have no time whatsoever to do much of anything.
Steve, why don't you mention also you should kill it before the stake?
Yes, yeah, you can't. And what you'll see some people do, and I'll give you a demonstration here, is that they'll stand like this and call it and then shoot the bird as it's going this way over here. You want to break it before the center stake right here, so we're talking about breaking the bird up in this area.
Yeah. And if you notice, the pad that he's standing on actually has 2 separate positions there. So when you're shooting the high house, you're in this side of it just like he is, and he'll be on the opposite side for the low house.
And I'm standing as far back in the pad as I possibly can to give myself as much distance as I can get to that target. So what I usually do is figure out where I'm going to break it. So I figure it's going to be right about here. Pull the gun back. Pull.
It's magic. It's just magic, I tell you.
And then the low house, same deal. As far back as you possibly can stand. Figure out where I'm going to break it. Probably right about here somewhere. Pull the gun back. Pull. Just like that.
Folks will play different games out here at Station 8. If you've gotten to Station 8 and you still have 3 shells left, many times it's not regulation skeet, but people will ask for a double from either the low house position or the high house position, and then kill the one that they're supposed to and then go after the other one. Another thing you want to keep in mind when you change stations, if you're only going to shoot a single here, you only put 1 shell in the gun. When you change positions, after I shoot the high house, then I'm going to go over here to shoot the low house. I don't want the empty hull, I don't want anything in the gun. I want it empty when I make that movement. It's just like changing positions at any of the games. You want an empty gun when you move. So I'll do a high house, Jay. Hopefully.
And don't load your gun until you step into a position anywhere in Skeet either.
Oh! Black smoke. Oh, I hope I can move fast enough on this one now. Oh! One more chance to miss it. Pull. Swung too fast.
Okay, so that does it for our episode on Skeet. If you have any questions or comments or anything like that, you can hit the website at powerfactorshow.com, email at powerfactorshow@gmail.com, and go to Facebook at facebook.com/powerfactorshow. Yeah.
That's a test right there.
That is, yeah, remembering all that stuff. So, again, I want to thank John and Jay, switch positions, that'll work fine, for joining me today. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you next time.